Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I saw a film listed that I think was a newer release from Shudder. I don't know if it's an original thing or something they just adopted and put up on the streaming service, but it's a 2023 film called From Black. It's about an hour and 40 minutes, and I just watched it last night / this morning, and I have a lot to say about it. Kinda, but kinda not. From Black was a cool title, and then as I read up the concept on it, that was listed on Shudder, I was super interested. I thought it sounded kinda cool. And I gotta be honest with you, it really failed me a lot. I really lost interest the more and more I got into this movie. Now, what is it about? Well, basically, you have a young woman who's played by Anna Camp, who was actually in Pitch Perfect. I love Pitch Perfect. My wife and I both like all three of the films. We all think they're all pretty good. Anyway, she plays an ex-drug addict who has recently been held captive. She looks like she's beat up. There was blood inside of her apartment. There was goat fur everywhere. Her sister happens to be a cop, and they have her in captivity right now. And she's telling the story of what happened to her after she tried to resurrect her son. Now, that's kind of its own little storyline I'll get into just very slightly. I don't want to ruin too much for you in case you want to see the movie. But basically, she was an ex-drug addict, and when she was high one day, her son, who was very young, named Noah, was kidnapped and probably killed. If I had to assume that the way the film was kind of hinting at, he was probably killed. I don't think they ever hinted that he was never found or anything like that. But anyway, he's been gone, and she's also in a support group after all of that happened to her, because it's pretty traumatic. And eventually she starts to speak up in her group, and the guy who kind of hosts that at the different gymnasiums they go to meet at and whatever, his name is Abel, and he is kind of a hippie, a little bit, just a little bit. He has that hippie feel to him. And he talks to her privately one day when he happens to find out where she works at, and he talks briefly about how there's a ritual that you can do that he happened to do that brought his daughter back to him, and that she could do this as well to bring her son Noah back to her if she wants to, if she's really willing to take this seriously and mess around with a little bit of witchcraft. And pretty quickly she decides, yeah, I'm willing to do that. I miss my son. I really don't have a purpose in this big old house I live in. And she has to kind of follow all these instructions that he tells her to do. And together they work on trying to go through with this ritual to bring her kid back. Now, I was very interested on whether this would just become like a remake of Pet Sematary without the title Pet Sematary. It didn't do that. It kind of did, but it really mostly didn't. I was expecting the film to have 45 minutes of setup, and then the kid comes back, something's wrong with him, right? You don't do that here. Pretty much the entire film is focused on the ritual setup, and then some weird things in the third act, and then you kind of get what you expected with the Pet Sematary idea. Not entirely, not like you fully expected something bad to happen and so on and so on. Just the development to that, you really don't get your traditional setup for that. And for such a well-shot film, for such a movie that I was interested in it, with some decent acting, I kind of expected more. And I didn't get that. I'm pretty let down with how it turned out. And it's not a bad movie per se, it's just really underwhelming. It really kind of lowered the rating that I was going to give it because of how the ending turned out. Really let me down. Everything that it was building to, well now, I don't really have anything to look forward to if I ever want to rewatch this or recommend this to somebody. I have to constantly recommend it based on, hey, it's a slow burn, but hey, the ending kind of sucks. It's a weak film in that regard, but it was really strong while I watched it until I got to the weak ending, which then, again, turned it into a weak movie. It's kind of sad. It's like what Halloween Ends did to Halloween Kills and Halloween 2018. That movie is such a stinker as a finale that it ruins those previous two films a little bit, even though I still like them. It still kind of shits on them, just a little bit. Anyway, there's not really any kind of practical effects to talk about in the film, but there is some makeup and some very tiny amounts of CGI that I think both of those elements involving a supernatural entity that's involved in this ritual were horrible mistakes. Horrible mistakes. Anna Camp is a good actress. I do like her. I love her in Pitch Perfect, like I said. But here, the strangest thing happened. As hot as she is, for whatever reason, when she cries in this movie, she begins to smile. This actress is too good to keep doing that. I'm almost convinced that it's intentional, but I'm also convinced that it was not the director's intent, it was the actress's intent. I don't know. It's just strange to me. If you've seen her in other things, if you've seen her here, you're probably thinking the same thing I'm thinking. It's just, a little weird. And there are certain scenes where I couldn't tell if she was supposed to be going crazy while she's laughing and crying at the same time, or is it just bad acting? I can't figure it out to this moment. To this moment, I can't decide on what I think about that. It's just kind of a messy movie. Just kind of messy with a couple of problems in here. But again, the guy playing Abel that's helping her with the ritual, he's pretty good. I like him. Again, a little hippie. I'm not a big fan of hippies, but, you know, he's okay. He seems like a nice guy who cares, for the most part. Again, that supernatural entity thing, that really kind of bothered me. I guess it just kind of ruined the movie a little bit. For a film that's kind of riding the line of supernatural intent, I think it kind of fails because of that ending, like I said. Outside of that, the writing for the characters, it's okay. It's kind of bland, but it's okay. I think, again, the film is relatively watchable. It's just... It's one of those things where people like Stephen King would argue, oh, well, it's not about the ending of the journey. It's about the destination, whatever. It's about the journey there. Shut the fuck up. Stop saying things like that. That's the excuse that every writer who doesn't have a good ending to their story nowadays uses. Maybe Stephen King uses that sometimes, the way it seems, more and more. This is an excuse that I see all too often now. And I feel like that would be applicable here for the right person who would want to defend this movie. But anyway, it's not a horrible film. It was interesting, it had its moments, but man, in hindsight, after finishing it this morning, it kind of ruins itself. Just a little bit because of that. Let me try that again. Because of the ending. Anyway, From Black is not a bad movie. I'd recommend it to the right person if it sounds like the kind of thing you'd like to watch. Well, again, it's on Shudder. Have at it. More power to you. But I would love to hear your thoughts and comments down in the comment section down below in case you loved it, hated it, whatever, especially if you liked it. I'd love to hear why down in the comment section down below. If I had to rate the film From Black on a 5-star basis, I'm leaning towards probably a 2 out of 5. Because again, it's not a poorly made movie. It's nice in the direction, the quality of content, the way it looks. But it's the other elements that really kind of pull this down and really kind of kill it a little bit. It kind of is a shame, I think. Anyway, have you seen it? What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Again, thank you all for watching. 2 out of 5 stars for me. It might seem a little harsh. I was going to give it a 3, but the more I think about it, I don't know. 2 out of 5 seems pretty justifiable. I could get people giving it a 3, though. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. God bless you all, and goodbye.